President Trump proudly called himself a nationalist. That's the new word he loved. He said he wanted to end birthright citizenship, of course, the 14th Amendment right to everyone born in this country to be a citizen. And he warned that a group of asylum seekers from Honduras were heading toward the border to invade, that was his word, the United States of America. At his freewheeling and combative press conference today, Trump sounded a defiant note, refusing to take any responsibility for the tone that he set in the campaign.
How do you see your role as a moral leader?
Ahead,
Mr. President, just how do you see your role as a moral
Go
leader?
ahead. There's so many people. I'm sorry.
As a moral leader, though.
I think I am a great moral leader, and I love our country.
Why are you pitting Americans against one another, sir?
I'm not.
Is that how you view citizens of this country?
I'll tell you what. We won a lot of elections last night. We did very well last night.
But in many ways, I think it's going
to have a very positive impact.
Michael Cohen recently said you called black voters stupid.
That's false.
Omarosa has accused you of using the N-word, and the rapper Little John has said you called him Uncle Tom. What's your response?
I don't know who Little John is.
He was on The Apprentice.
I don't know. Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Have you ever made racist remarks?
No, I would never do that, and I don't use racist remarks.
Wow. Well, the president also lashed out at Yamiche Alcindor, the PBS NewsHour, accusing her of asking a, quote, racist question. And here's that exchange.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying that the president.
That's such a racist
There
question.
are some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists because of your rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? Why do I have among the highest poll numbers with African Americans? I mean, why do I have my highest poll numbers? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, that's a racist question.
I'm joined right now by Yamiche Alcindor herself, White House correspondent for PBS NewsHour. Of course, Eugene Robinson joins us up here from New York. Yamiche, that was a pretty fraught moment there. Tell me about your reaction to him.
Well, really, I think that the president was frustrated because reporters were doing what we do best, which is ask questions and really demand answers. This is a president who, as you said, has talked about ending birthright citizenship. Just today, a white nationalist, a man named Patrick Casey, who heads up a group called Identity Europa, was tweeting about visiting the White House. This is someone who is a self-described white nationalist. So I think the president his anger was boiling over there, and I think my reaction is the reaction of most reporters, which is really to press on. The next question I asked was about middle-class tax cuts, because I can't allow the president to just kind of go off and not really stay on target and really do my job.
You know, this president has he does observe what you might call today identity politics. He has different knocks on different groups. I mean, like, white women are ugly, horse face, comments he said about Carly Fiorina. African-American women are low IQ or unqualified. A Yale law graduate running for office down there in Georgia is unqualified. Did you get a sense from all that led you into the question you raised about the tenor he said? I mean, based upon real language he's used, not implication.
Well, I think that the president his anger was boiling over because of a lot of things. At one point during the press conference, he was literally pacing back and forth. I thought he might walk off. I think that some people see this as the president attacking a woman of color. Of course, I'm a black woman. He was also attacking April Ryan, telling her to sit down. Jim Acosta, he was saying that you're rude for asking about immigration, and he was calling reporters hostile. I'm not sure if the president was singling out people because of their race, but I will say that the president was obviously very upset with the reporting that we were trying to do there. And I've talked to some White House aides who say that the president feels particularly aggrieved when we ask about white nationalists, because he feels as though that's an unfair question.
Well, let's talk about the president in this campaign, Gina. You come from South Carolina, and I was thinking about Georgia and Florida, where you had incredible African-American candidates. Do you think Trump's tenor and language, from the caravan to all the ethnic comments he's made about African-American, the way he sort of talks, to put it lightly, do you think it had an influence on those defeats? Did he give permission to those voters?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I think it was racist to say that Stacey Abrams is not qualified, to say that Andrew Gillum is not equipped to be equipped. Right.
Sounds like Jimmy the Greek.
Exactly. That's
don't
exactly,
have the necessaries.
Exactly where I was going. And that's just, that's flat out racist. But I think his attack on Yamiche, Yamiche was there, I wasn't, and so she felt anger coming out of the president. To me, it looked deliberate. It looks staged because this, he is reinforcing this notion that he has encouraged that there's all this racism being directed against white people, and that sort of reinforced that. I thought his whole performance today, watching it on television, looked intentional to me. It looked like he came in there ready to pick a fight. He calls on Jim Acosta, his great antagonist, knowing what's going to happen. Then he goes to Peter Alexander, with whom he's had, back and forth. He yells at April Ryan, knowing that she's going to yell back. I mean, it was just... It looked to me like a guy who wanted to be seen having a fight with the media.
Yamiche, if he wants to make the press look like his enemy, he did a pretty good job. If you think about ginning up a fight on the street corner, I've been using the conceit tonight of a street fight. It does seem like he's lost the argument. He lost the House of Representatives for the rest of his term here. He lost the big argument in the popular vote last night. Clearly, the popular vote of this country went against him. But he wants to somehow start some other way of judging the way things are. What did you think of the whole thing with you and everybody else today going head to head with him in the press conference?
Well, I think two things. The first is that I think the president does feel wounded by the fact that Republicans lost control of the House. This was a president who campaigned, even though he didn't say that, even though he's saying that he focused on Senate races, he called a lot of House candidates up on stage with him and was barnstorming across the country, making the case that Republicans should hold on to both the House and the Senate, and he lost one of the big chambers. It's going to be a thorn in his side for this. As far as him going back and forth with reporters, I think yes, he was probably in some ways maybe looking for a little bit of a fight. He didn't get a fight out of me. People who know me would know what I look like when I'm fighting, and I wasn't fighting there.
Yeah.
What I was doing was posing a question, which is what reporters are going to do. And again, I go back to the fact that there was a white nationalist today tweeting about being at the White House today. So my question was timely, and it was fair, and it was what I do.
What did you see in his eyes when he's looking at you?
I mean, I saw someone who I think was very, very frustrated and very, very angry at the fact that I was bringing up the fact that some people think that he's emboldening white nationalists. I think that there was maybe, as Eugene said, there was maybe some performance there, but I think he was genuinely frustrated with reporters because he was going back and forth, and he had just finished yelling at he had just finished yelling at April Ryan and Jim Acosta and Peter Alexander, and then here comes Yamiche with this question about white nationalism that he can't stand.
It's so amazing to sit there and watch somebody I know as well as I know you fighting it out with the President of the United States on equal terms. It's something else. I guess that's good for our democracy, despite all this other hellish stuff we're talking about. The good thing is you can get in there and duke it out with him. Thank you. I don't want to soft-smoke this because it was awful what he said in the campaign, and I do agree with you in your intimations and your reporting about this nationalist thing here. But the irony thing about nationalism, African Americans have been in this country a lot longer by centuries than most white people. The idea that you're not part of the nation is an absurdity. And, it's just pure racism. Anyway, thank you. That is racism. Yamiche Alcindor, Eugene Robinson, thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.